They say that if you enter the forest, you will never escape. This is the legend of the forest that screams. In the heart of Japan lies a dark secret, an ominous forest known as the suicide forest, where the trees are silent witnesses to unspeakable horrors and where every rustle of leaves echoes with despair. Legend has it that once you step into its haunting embrace, you will never be the same again. In this terrifying tale, we'll explore the chilling legends, the unsettling experiences, and the spine-tingling stories that make the suicide forest one of the scariest places on Earth. If you love scary things, stay tuned for more. There are some places in the world that are so eerie and unsettling that they seem straight out of a horror movie. One such place is Aokigahara, also known as the suicide forest at the base of Japan's Mount Fuji. This dense, dark wood has become infamous for its association with death and despair. According to Japanese folklore, the forest has a malevolent presence that draws people in and never lets them leave. Those who enter the forest become lost in its twisted undergrowth and never return. And those who do return are forever changed by their experience. But what makes the suicide forest so terrifying? Is it the thick, oppressive atmosphere that seems to suffocate hope, or the gnarled, twisted trees that seem to reach out like skeletal fingers? Or perhaps it's the tragic tales of those who have lost their lives here that haunt these woods. Whatever the reason, the suicide forest is a place where fear and despair seem to linger in the air, making it one of the scariest places in Japan. Our story begins with a renowned documentary filmmaker named Kazuo, who has dedicated his career to exposing fake psychics and debunking paranormal claims. He is a man of science and logic, a firm believer in the power of reason. He approaches everything with a healthy dose of skepticism, which has earned him both admiration and criticism from his viewers. But when he sets his sights on the suicide forest, even Kazuo's rational mind will be pushed to its limits. He has heard the whispers and rumors about the forest for years, stories of people who have entered and never returned, of those who have emerged forever changed by their experience. But Kazuo has never taken these stories seriously, dismissing them as superstitious nonsense. But when a disturbing video surfaces online, showing a ghostly white figure seemingly wandering through the forest, even Kazuo is intrigued. Could there really be something lurking in the shadows of the suicide forest? Determined to uncover the truth, he sets out to explore the forest himself, armed with nothing but his camera and his skepticism. As he ventures deeper into the woods, he begins to feel a sense of unease. The trees seem to close in around him, their branches twisting and contorting in unnatural ways. The air grows heavy and oppressive, making it difficult to breathe. And then he hears it, a strange, unsettling sound that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. It's a whisper, a voice that seems to be calling out to him from the darkness. At first, he tries to rationalize it, attributing it to the wind or the birds. But as the sound persists, he begins to wonder if he is truly alone in this forest. Just as he is about to turn back, he sees it, a faint white glow in the distance. He follows it, hoping to find its source, and soon comes across a clearing. There in the center of the clearing is a dilapidated wooden hut, and from inside it, the ghostly figure emerges. Kazuo's heart pounds in his chest as he tries to make sense of what he is seeing. Who is this ghostly figure and what is it doing in this remote forest? Before he can react, the figure turns and disappears back into the hut. Kazuo, driven by curiosity and a desire to solve the mystery, decides to investigate further. He cautiously approaches the hut, his camera at the ready, determined to capture any movement. As he gets closer, he notices that the hut is old and abandoned, its wooden walls covered in moss and vines. He can hear the ghostly figure moving around inside, and he strains to listen, trying to make out what it is saying. But all he can hear is a strange, ethereal humming sound. Suddenly, the door of the hut opens and the ghostly figure steps out. Kazuo's camera shakes as he tries to focus on the figure, but it seems to be constantly moving, just out of his sight. Just when he thinks he might be losing his mind, the figure stops and turns. Kazuo's breath catches in his throat as he sees the face of the figure. It is pale and translucent, with long flowing hair that hides most of its features. Its eyes are wide and staring, and it seems to be wearing a long white dress. For a moment, Kazuo is frozen in place, unable to move or speak. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the figure disappears back into the hut. Determined to uncover the truth, Kazuo enters the hut. Inside, he finds a diary lying on a table. The diary is old and leather-bound, and as he opens it, he can see that the pages are filled with strange symbols and writings. As he continues to read, he realizes that the diary is written in Japanese, a language he does not understand. But even without understanding the words, he can sense the emotion behind them. The diary entries tell a story of fear and desperation, of a young woman who is being stalked by a mysterious entity in the forest. And as he reads, he begins to feel a sense of dread wash over him. The diary seems to be cursed, and its dark energy is seeping into his own thoughts and emotions. Determined to break the curse, he decides to take the diary with him when he leaves the forest. But as he does, he feels a sudden surge of energy, and the diary flies out of his hands, crashing to the ground and splitting open. As the diary breaks, the forester on him seems to come alive with energy, and he can feel the presence of the ghostly woman growing stronger. Suddenly, the ground beneath him begins to shake, and the trees start to sway violently, as if they are all reaching out to grab him. He tries to run, but his feet feel heavy and sluggish as if he is being pulled down by an invisible force. Then he hears the voice, the same voice that he had heard in the forest, calling out to him, beckoning him to stay. And in that moment, he understands that the forest is not just a place of death and despair, it is also a place of darkness and evil. As the darkness envelops him, he feels a sharp pain in his leg, and he looks down to see a deep gash that is bleeding profusely. But as he watches, the cut begins to heal, and when it is fully healed, there is no scar or mark left behind. And that is when he notices the diary. It has stopped bleeding and the pages are filled with strange symbols and writings. He opens the diary and begins to read. And as he does, he feels a sense of peace wash over him. The diary is ancient, and its pages are filled with stories of love and loss, of hope and despair. But as he continues to read, he begins to feel a connection to the author, a woman who lived centuries ago, yet whose emotions and experiences are so similar to his own. But then he comes across an entry that makes his blood run cold. The author is writing about a mysterious, enchanting forest that she has stumbled upon, a forest that seems to hold both beauty and danger. She writes about the strange creatures that inhabit the forest and the eerie sounds that echo through the trees. And then she writes about a ghostly figure that she has seen in the forest, a figure that seems to be watching her, following her every move. And as he reads the final entry, his heart skips a beat. The author is writing about a small hut that she has found in the forest, a hut that seems to be the source of the forest's evil. She writes about the ghostly figure that she has seen entering the hut, and she begs her readers to stay away from the forest, warning them of the danger that lurks within. As he closes the diary, he feels a sense of foreboding wash over him. He knows that he is in danger, that the forest is watching him, waiting for him to make a mistake. But he is determined to uncover the truth, to discover the secrets of the forest and the diary. And so he sets off into the woods, following the path that the author had taken, hoping to find the source of the forest's evil. As he walks, he can feel the presence of the author growing stronger, as if she is guiding him, leading him to his fate. He can hear the sound of her footsteps in the trees, and he can feel her sadness and despair seeping into his own thoughts and emotions. Finally, he comes to a clearing and sees the small wooden hut that the author had described. He approaches the hut cautiously, his senses on high alert, and knocks on the door. And when he does, he hears a voice that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Stay forever," the voice whispers. Kazuo hesitates, torn between his desire to uncover the truth and his growing fear. But as he stands there, he can feel the forest closing in around him, its branches reaching out to grab him, its leaves rustling with anticipation. And in that moment, he knows that he has no choice but to enter the hut and face whatever evil awaits him inside. As he steps across the threshold, He feels the darkness envelop him, and he knows that he has just made a terrible mistake. For in this dark and dusty room he will discover the truth about the forest and the diary, and he will learn that the forest has been waiting for him, that it has been watching him, and that it has been feeding on his fear. And as the darkness closes in around him, he realizes that he is not just a documentary filmmaker anymore, he is a character in a horror movie, and the forest is his worst nightmare. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more spooky content.